Imagine the joy of bringing new life into this world and the bliss of holding your newborn in your arms, and the excitement of nourishing them with your own milk. However, for some mothers, this experience is overshadowed by a lesser-known condition called D-MER, D-MER, Dysphoric Milk Ejection Reflex. Today, I want to shed light on this often misunderstood and overlooked condition that affects thousands of mothers around the world, including myself. Less than a year ago, I suddenly experienced what many women call a hot flash as I began one of my many breastfeeding sessions. I immediately disregarded this normal symptom as I had experienced numerous hot flashes throughout my pregnancy. However, the symptom that I noticed were out of my character as my son continued to breastfeed. I quickly was overthrown with the thoughts and feelings of being trapped in my body. I felt flooded with negative self-talk of being unproductive, disconnected from my baby as I was breastfeeding this beautiful child. I was disappointed in myself in not being able to complete the breastfeeding session time, and at the same time, I wanted to stop. I noticed the continuous pattern of feeling sick every time I breastfed. I questioned my normal optimism and the strategies for my mental health, and I'm a mental health professional. And just like the majority of women who Google everything about their baby, I had to Google my symptoms or if anyone out there related with me online. And there it was. D-MER, Dysphoric Milk Ejection Reflex. Only a handful of evidence-based research articles exist. D-MER is a physiological response that occurs in some breastfeeding mothers, typically right before milk letdown. Instead of the expected feelings of warmth and bonding, these mothers experience intense feelings of sadness, anger, anxiety, or even despair. It's like a dark cloud passing over what should be a beautiful moment. It actually leaves you feeling disconnected and overwhelmed. Many mothers with D-MER mistakenly believe that they are experiencing postpartum depression or anxiety. But D-MER is different, as it is directly linked to hormonal changes that occur during milk letdown. Today, D-MER is not considered a psychological issue, but a physiological one that can be triggered by the rapid release of dopamine. Meaning I could be driving as my baby starts to cry, milk could be ejected from my breasts and experience D-MER. So it could happen just about anywhere, not just during breastfeeding. So that makes me question the long-term psychological effects after continuously breastfeeding with D-MER. I asked myself, could this psychological, physiological response be one of the leading causes of postpartum depression, PPD? With D-MER, negative thoughts such as being abnormal I experienced or had a sense of obligation to breastfeed. And as a therapist, I had all the tools to step out into the sun and yet felt like I couldn't. I felt a pit in my stomach, which usually is described by many women who experience D-MER. And a sense of anger followed with the thought of being unable to enjoy breastfeeding due to the expectations I should feel as a sense of achievement for this beautiful moment of breastfeeding. In fact, one of the first treatment options for D-MER is to become aware of it. That evening I Googled D-MER. I suddenly felt like I wasn't crazy anymore, that my body was just going through a hormonal journey during breastfeeding. And as a therapist, I didn't even recall learning this in school or knowing that it existed. I felt compelled to find other women that related with me or doctors that knew about my condition, but when I asked about it, their awareness was non-existent. Unfortunately, D-MER is often misdiagnosed or dismissed by healthcare professionals, leaving mothers feeling more isolated, more unsupported, and the lack of awareness and understanding surrounding this condition only adds to the stigma and shame that many mothers feel. In my experience as a mother, there was a lot of conversation and pressure surrounding breastfeeding. You hear all the reasons why you should breastfeed just about everywhere. But what if you can't due to this physiological response? And what if you have a comorbid diagnosis, meaning in the psych world, multiple diagnoses, such as anxiety and/or depression? On top of that, in fact, in a recent study from the American University of Cairo in Egypt, they suggest symptoms of postpartum depression may overlap with the symptoms of other affective problems, including dysphoric milk ejection reflex, meaning you could have other mental health diagnoses and your symptoms could be even more severe by just having this condition. But it's time to change that. It's time to start a conversation about D-MER, to educate ourselves and others, and to provide support and resources that mothers with D-MER deserve. By raising awareness and advocating for better care, we can help mothers navigate this challenging experience and find ways to cope and thrive before, during, and after breastfeeding. As we continue to focus on this motherhood experience, let us also acknowledge the struggles, the challenges that many mothers face, including myself with D-MER. Let us listen to their stories, offer our support, become educated, lift up the pressure to breastfeed, read and do further research, and work towards a world where all mothers feel seen, heard, and understood in this complex moment of breastfeeding. Together, we can create a more compassionate, inclusive society for all mothers, no matter what challenges they may face. Thank you.